Well, I think if you follow council pretty closely, people know who I am. I went to council 4 years ago on the premise that I was going to be a voice for all taxpayers. And I think after 4 years I could comfortably say I've accomplished that. There were issues that I could have went to the other side, but when I looked at all the aspects of how it was good for our taxpayers or whether it wasn't good for our taxpayers, or even if we supported, I stayed true to my values. And as far as running again, I did consider not running, but I felt that there are so many issues facing the city coming forward that I felt that my experience on the boards I serve on and on council would be advantageous to kind of help steer the ship through these issues that we're going to face. Yes, there is a committee set up, and I co-chaired with former Mayor Tom Walker, and I did propose a plan about a year ago at budget time where I went out with two basically engineers to see what could be done to modify or modernize the McIntyre Arena to be a driving force for revitalization. Our idea at that time was to go into the building, look at it structurally, and see if we could accommodate what we wanted to do. So what I did there was prepare a very preliminary concept, which I presented to council at budget time last year, and it was defeated 5-4 because they felt that the 2% spending increase, and it really wasn't asking for a lot of money. It was asking for a small amount to take the concept that we had and refine it a bit so it could be presented at public meetings for input to see if we could go with it. This is a major project for the city of Schumacher, the town of Schumacher, and for the city of Timmins. Timmins right now gets left off the map by promoters because we don't have the seating capacity to accommodate them. And when I visited the Memorial Garden in North Bay and received a tour from a councillor that I met through AMO and so on like this, he talked about a thing called plug and play. And I didn't know what plug and play was, so I had a good idea, but he said what happens is a lot of the 70s bands and the 60s bands, they don't travel with large crews anymore because they can't fill stadiums and it's too expensive to travel for a great big gig. So what they do is they come into these venues with a bus and a small trailer and mostly their instruments, and they basically plug into the house system. And they received a $1.1 million federal grant to put this plug and play in the Memorial Gardens. So if Timmins, through McIntyre Arena, could accomplish the same thing, that would put us on the map for year-round concerts. The Ford World Women's Championships, Grilling Championships, were just held in North Bay. That would give us an opportunity to get back, ice shows, a whole bunch of things. So and how it fits into Schumacher revitalization is if we could bring 4,000 or 5,000 people into town 20, 25 times a year for different events, and even for junior hockey. I realize the Rock have a great organization, but why couldn't we entertain a junior and move that whole organization up? It's something that I envision. So if we could do that and attract all these people to Schumacher, that could be a spin-off for somebody to say, look, back in our arena, a coffee shop can't accommodate all the pre-game meals. So you could see spin-offs in the community in the immediate area. And it's a great project. It's going to come back to council in 2019 with whoever's around the table. I wouldn't be obviously, I wouldn't be running. In a bit of a refined form. At that time, if council passes it and it goes forward to the next step, we will have public meetings and people will have their input what they'd like to see in it. But it's a great project. And as far as economic benefits, it brings a tremendous amount to this community if you could do that. I mean, I don't see why we can't. I spoke to the people in North Bay with the World Ford Curling Championships. They made money with it. They had the greatest attendance that the event has had in years, so why not Timmins? Well, the key thing here is what will the new council, what will the priorities be? We have issues right now where we're talking lawsuits in the front right. We have road issues that everybody is complaining about. I don't blame them. So we have to look at what our real priorities are. There's a lot of other priorities. We haven't built non-profit housing in this town for years. There is a tremendous waiting list for people to get into. So the first thing that I would suggest in the new council is, so okay, look at the priorities. What do we have to do within the amount of money that we have available to do it with? We are facing some economic challenges going forward. Kidd will close. I mean, there isn't a definitive date. You hear 2 to 3 years, but that right now has 800 employees, 600 employees, 200 contractors. They have a $110 million a year payroll. Now, granted, not everybody's going to disappear out of town because a lot of the guys are in that 55, 57-year-old range. By the time that starts to make an economic impact, okay, you're going to have a gap there. Okay, we signed all these memorandums of understanding with Tahoe, Goldport, and Kidd when impact reduced the assessment value of all these properties. The impact to the city was huge. We stood to lose millions of dollars in general tax revenues. Now, fortunately, these mining companies are all good corporate citizens. They agreed to negotiate a memorandum of understanding that would not hit us in 2019 or 20 or 21 or 22, but in 2022, unless they are willing to renegotiate, they will pay a lot less taxes in 2000. So I equate that if we lose Kidd, we don't get Norrock. I heard the comment, and it's not original. We're going off a cliff 4 years down the road. So my argument now is you hope for the best, but you have to plan for the worst. And you can't build facilities right now that you may 4 years down the road have difficulty paying for. We have basically, including interest, $80 million in debt. That's roughly $62 million of funded unfunded debt and about $18 million to go along with that. If we're going to do that project on the schedule that they have indicated they're going to do it on, we're going to have to borrow money. Pump post number 4, we have had experts come to us, and there are issues there as to where we're going with that. There's recommendations, tear it down, start over. The other recommendations are you might be able to pile, you might have to grout, but we don't have an idea. If we have to take that plant down and start over, I guess that is $7 to $8 million. So you add that to the existing debt load, and this city would have a debt load at that point of well over $100 million. But that doesn't include the connecting link. Sure, we get $3 million every year, but we have done 4 kilometers right now for $11 million. And the stretch we're doing right now is 1 kilometer. It's costing us $5 million. And the reason behind that is because there is infrastructure. And that infrastructure is a culvert. Wait till we get to Algonquin where you have all kinds of infrastructure. What's the cost going to be per kilometer? I can't guess it. I'm not a civil engineer. I don't know. So that's another thing. I'm not even factoring that into the $100 million. Okay, the $100 million is what I call debt we're going to incur in a very short period of time if we want to solve that problem of Porcupine Lake. I visited a resident there yesterday, okay, who wanted me to come out and see his dock. Well, there is human waste at the end of his dock. Okay, so this is not alarmist by anybody. These people have evidence that that's occurring. That was a priority for me if I'm on the next council. We have to address that. We have to find the money somewhere to address that problem for the people out there. The city has so many issues right now, and they all cost money. It's nice to have another central project. Okay, and I would love to have an aquatic center. I don't agree with the field house because we have a bunch of gyms that close at 5 o'clock every night. The field house to me is a glorified gym. But an aquatic center, if we could afford it, and then we could go forward and ensure that we're not mortgaging our future and building it. Okay, right now, the mayor's on record as saying 50%. So it's estimated 48. We know our record of bringing projects in on budget. Hopefully this could be the first one. But, you know, we're looking at probably more than 24 million. Well, I'll say right now that we can't afford to borrow 24 million to build an aquatic center field house right now until certain things fall into place. If we get Norlock, that helps. But Norlock is going to have 350 jobs. Kidd has 600 employees. So it's going to replace. Is it going to bring us a lot more assessment? No. Under this current CIP program, the Community Improvement Program, there's an incentive there for Norlock to come in and not pay some taxes for the first 10 years. Okay, that's part of the CIP program. So the impact of Norlock between the time they develop the mine and get all the infrastructure in place until the point where they actually will pay more taxes based on the assessment could be 20 years. Okay, that's not close enough to what we're trying to do here. Everybody thinks, well, Joe's the number guy. Well, I am a number guy, but I'm realistic when I look at these things. I've lived there all my life. Okay, and I love the community, and I would love to see that. But right now, we have to be cautious with non-essential spending. It's not a case of being a no person. Basically, look at the facts. Okay, look at the facts. Our debt right now, one of those debentures runs to 2040. Okay, we are currently paying up $5.2 million a year just to service debt. Okay, what could we have done with that money? So we have to be cautious in council, and the future council coming in, whoever is sitting on that table, will have to say, what are the priorities? What do we have to do right now? Okay, and what can we do beyond that? I'm not sure how you cannot make it an election issue. When Stars and Thunder 217 was finished, okay, if you go back, there were a lot of benefits to the community. There was a lot of pride. There was a lot of, business brought. People came to town. At that time, I said it probably deserved another chance, but it had to go forward with a new model. We couldn't go forward with the fact that we just roll the dice and hope we don't lose our shirts. Well, so what happened there was 2 weeks after the event, council had not received a final deposit report. Okay, we knew the losses were in the $600,000-700,000 range. We hadn't done one single minute of assessment as to what went wrong. And then this was brought back. I pulled my support at that point because I equate that to you running a business. You have a project. You run the first year, you lose $700,000. You decide to run your business on the same basis as the second year. You're not going to be in business very long. Council had no right to go forward without a proper business plan that gave reasonable assurance that the taxpayers weren't on the hook for a lot of money. If it loses a little bit and brings all the benefits that it does to the town, maybe some people can accept that, but you can't go ahead and lose $1.7 million and think it's okay to do that, because it is not. Well, I have a strong passion for persons with disabilities. Former councillor Reslon, when he left, he was on the Municipal Accessibility Advisory Council, and they wanted someone to take that position. Well, I've been involved with persons with disability prior to that, in my chairmanship in Campbell and kids having a camp out there. So I stepped up to the plate for one reason. Dan McKay is a good friend of the family. And Dan is an inspiration to me, how he makes the most of his blindness to the point that he takes buses where he wants to go, he walks his dog, he does everything that he can. And I admire him, okay? So when there was an opportunity to go off in the Municipal Accessibility Advisory Council, I accepted it right away. At that time, I didn't know a whole lot about what we were doing in the city. So I stopped and I said, why don't you call Handytrans? And she said, Handytrans doesn't come up here, it follows the conventional bus route. I said, it doesn't. I admit to her that, I didn't know that. So when I went back to City Hall, I got a hold of Trans and I said, why does Handytrans not go everywhere? So at that time I was told the law said it should follow conventional bus routes. It didn't say must. Should. Should and must are two different things. So I fought to have that. And it was a battle because in the early going of trying to bring that forward, right, council voted against it on the premise of the project. But what is too much to give our persons with disability a quality of life that we enjoy as able-bodied people? What is too much? Did it cost another bus? Okay, so $70,000 for a handy transit bus. But what is the real cost here? I was annoyed, really, that some of the councillors didn't buy into the first proposal. Okay, but I was persistent. I did my homework, I brought it back, I convinced a couple of the other councillors to go with a phased-in approach. Let's try it here. We're not committing to the whole city. If that works, we'll expand the coverage. Well, basically, Handytrans now goes almost citywide. Okay? Well, to me, that's an achievement. The other achievements that I like to think I did, okay, was I stood for my principles, okay? It would have been easy for me to climb on some of these projects. the one that I think is the college. Okay, basically, that's a great facility out there. The city gave them $2 million and, you know, it's done, we move on. But when your treasurer comes to you, comes to council, the gentleman that we paid to give us advice on financial matters, and says, no, we shouldn't be doing it for two reasons. One, we don't have the money, and two, it's not our responsibility. That is the responsibility of the federal and provincial governments. Well, the vote was taken, and I accepted the decision that we did it. But we had to borrow that money. We had to borrow money, and when someone said not to. So it would have been easy for me at that point to say, I'm on board. But I would not compromise my principles on that, because we didn't have to do that. That project would have gone ahead regardless. Okay? But it could also be structured as a loan type agreement where the city would have got the money back. There's some options that were considered. And it's one that I've had discussions with a lot of high-profile people. And it's very hard to look at the building as you're driving from Porcupine to Porcupine and not think what a wonderful addition to our city. Okay? But on the other hand, we received a bulletin from the Associated Municipalities of Ontario shortly after that, and they're representative of 444 municipalities in the province of Ontario. Okay? They told us, don't get involved in these things. So it just substantiated what I had said. They said, you're taking a willing download. It's not the responsibility of municipalities who are struggling for money. We're responsible for the majority of the dollars that is spent in municipalities. Yet we only have an area, a very small area, where we can raise taxes. So why would you take a voluntary download? Well, that was the thing. As I said, I could have compromised my principles, but I refused to do it. I did receive some flack in the process, but that's the nature of the beast. It's called politics. I would hope that the people who did call me, I responded to basically every citizen that had an issue. I didn't solve all the problems because not the way they wanted it. Because, for example, I mean, we have bylaws, we have zoning. Because some neighbor is mad that an individual has a business next to him, I, as Joe Campbell, or any council member, can't go and shut it down. Okay? Because if he has a legal license, he's operating within the Planning Act, there's not a lot that council can do. Some voters seem to think that council's all powerful to walk and say, here, give me the keys, we're not operating. It doesn't work that way. There's rules and regulations that we have to follow. And as far as being re-elected, I believe that I've represented the citizens of Ward 3 at Schumacher. In fact, the city, I've spoken for the whole city. I don't really have a ward. Okay? I don't think anybody should have a ward. If you look at what happened last election, Ward 3 is the smallest ward, but yet 3 councillors reside in Ward 3. Councillor Mulder, Councillor Dubois, and myself. When have you ever seen that happen? So we really don't have a ward. What I would like to see, okay, basically, and I've had this discussion, in my campaign here, a lot of them have said, why can't I vote for you? Okay, I like what you're doing, why can't I vote for you? Because you're making decisions, I'm in Ward 5, you're making decisions that affect me, why can't I vote for you? So what I would like to see going forward, okay, to level the playing field a bit, is that Ward 5, a true ward system, be divided into 4, and then have a situation where you have to live in the ward you run in, but everybody in the city can vote for you. Okay? As far as myself, I think if I ran citywide, I'd probably do fairly well because I basically, as I said, I didn't say I only have Ward 3. I went there with the premise that I'm a servant of the entire city, not just Ward 3. And I've helped people in other wards or referred them to another council, because some councils, they want to do their own ward stuff, and I appreciate that. I've helped people in other wards, okay? But to say any council is going to say, yes, perfect record that he helped everybody that called them, they haven't. I mean, it's the nature of the game. I've enjoyed council. I hope I'm around for another 4 years. Council gives you a lot of opportunities. You get to go to the Association of Municipalities of Ontario, Good Roads, Federation of Municipalities. You get the opportunity to talk to cabinet ministers, its fronts, Okay, some give you some time, some give you lip service, and they disappear very quickly. But I happen to know that some of the ministers are very willing to hear you out for however long you want to speak with them. And I've had that occasion, and you know, it's something that I'm very appreciative of. Council is a lot of work. My advice to people running for council, be prepared to do a lot of work. Probably go to see you on Tuesday night. But I can honestly say right now that I probably worked harder on those 6 boards, being prepared for meetings on council, than I probably did my real job. Okay, and you know, it's something that you have to realize. Don't go to council and think that you're just going to go there Tuesday night and raise your hand. If you're doing that, you're going to achieve the people who put you in. Okay, they want you to go there prepared, to make educated, objective decisions going forward. I wish them all well, but do I want to be there again? Sure, I'm running again, so definitely I want